Hi Y10, I hope you are all very well and that you are all enjoying this beautiful, beautiful weather. I have very much so. I don't know if you can tell on here, but I have caught the sun like I've been on holiday. But it's also making my greys a little bit more prominent. So, yeah. So, obviously things are a little bit different now. Some of you are back in school this week and next week, and then we are anticipating obviously a normal return to school on the 15th of June. I say normal, but you know, a more normal return to school on the 15th. And so that will change probably what I do with you and what I deliver to you over the next couple of weeks. So obviously yesterday was an assessment. This lesson will be up for Wednesday. Next week I will probably do 2 videos, and then when we come back, what I will do, that the first lesson back that I have you, I will deliver to you the one that I've been promising to film really, which is the lesson on the exam content and how to structure your answers and things like that. So I will deliver that to you when we are actually in school, and I can make sure that you are all on task and you're all doing what I need you to do. So we will do that the first week back. So yeah, so I am. I've seen a few of you this week. I saw a few of you yesterday. I was in school yesterday and work yesterday, and then I'm in again next Monday, and then on the Friday as well. Thank you, Alicia, for your assessment. So yeah, so I sent the assessment out yesterday. Thank you to those of you that have already sent it back. I need that in by the end of. I think I've said today's lesson as in Wednesday's lesson, but by the end of the week, just so I can make an assessment of that before we go back to school on the 15th, would be really useful. Can I also just remind you, and I will remind you again nearer the time, to bring back your folders, those of you that took your folders home, because obviously that has got all of your coursework in. So if any of that goes missing, we are going to be in a little bit of bother probably this time next year in terms of claiming for your grades. So just remember to bring those back when we do come back. So today what I wanted you to look at was financial resources, okay, and how much of an impact does money have on your life. So just to get you started, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of an impact does money have on your life? How about your growth and development? So does your physical health correlate with the amount of money you've got? So does the more money you have mean the healthier you are? Does the less money you have mean you are healthier? Okay, and explain your reasoning for this within your books. Okay, so we're going to look at financial resources. This probably won't be a very, very long PowerPoint, but yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So what I want you to think about is what wealth is. So I want you to go away and find out what you think wealth is, and then pause me and unpause me when you're done. Okay, so wealth is how much you're worth, basically. So when people talk about, for example, celebrities being wealthy, they're talking about how much they're actually worth. So it's not just the money that you've got, it's also the material possessions that you've got as well. Okay, which is what we kind of look at here. So your wealth is all of this kind of put together. So your income is the amount of money that you earn, whether that's weekly, monthly, yearly, whether that's a salary, whether you're paid per hour, whether you're paid per week, whether you're on a 0 hours contract, whether you're on a fixed term contract, whether you get cash in hand, whether you're self-employed, etc., etc. Okay, and this has been really, really big in the news over the last few months, obviously with everything going on in the world at the moment. This has obviously been massive, and there have been lots of things that the government have done to try and keep people's kind of, not necessarily at the same level, but ensure that people are financially stable. Okay, so for example, you could ask for a mortgage holiday, so you could contact your bank and you could ask for a mortgage holiday. Now that was initially 3 months. That's now been extended to 6. None of that means that you don't ever have to pay that money back, because you do. It just gets added on to either to the end or to your monthly repayments over the next however long it takes you to pay those 3 months off. So it's to do with your income, it's to do with your material possessions, so the things that you own. So if you own a car, for example, the house that you own, you know, for celebrities, it's the kind of jewellery that they own, the designer handbags, the designer goods that they own, and it's all of that is all combined to give them a net worth or a net wealth, okay, and that is how much they are worth. So if you are wealthy, you are considered to have a good income and lots of material possessions that you could potentially sell for lots of money if you got yourself into financial problems. It also looks at your employment status. So if you're in a very high powered job, if you're in a very highly paid job, so if you're a judge, for example, or a lawyer is a very high powered job. In terms of health and social care, you're looking at sort of consultancy levels, CEOs, people like that who are in high paid jobs. They would be considered to be wealthy, because they would have the income that comes with that and potentially the material possessions that come with that as well. And they would also be considered to be in a higher social class as well as a result of that, okay? So all of that comes together to give you a financial resource, okay? So obviously financial resources are important. You need money. I do live by the kind of mantra that you don't need money to be happy, and I think this period of time that we've had on lockdown and with everything that's going on in the world has kind of taught people that actually you probably don't need as much money as people think you do to be happy, and it's about actually your, not even your material possessions, but the things in your life that money can't buy. So your family, your friends, that for me, and I am talking on a very personal level here, but that for me is the thing that I have missed the most and I have struggled the most with, is being away from my family and my friends. But obviously you need money, so you need money to buy food, you need money to buy clothes, you need money to pay your bills, and that what you need is an adequate level of income compared to the amount of money that you're spending out every month, okay? Because if you're, for example, if your bills and your food and your clothes shopping, etc., is coming out to £2,000 a month and you're only bringing in £1,500 a month, that isn't going to balance. And I don't know whether they still do this, but when we went for our mortgage, which was a while ago now, but when we went to get our mortgage, we had it all approved, but then we also had to sit down and do a budget planner to make sure that we could afford it. And you have to look at whether, if you're buying it with a partner, for example, I was buying it with my husband at the time, we had to look at, when we did the budget planner, we then had to look at, could you afford, if we split up, or anything happened to one of us, could both of us afford to keep the house on our own? And it's things like that they take into account when you're going for a mortgage that you don't necessarily think about when you're planning to buy a house. Okay, so obviously having good financial balance or resources or a good level of financial security allows you to have a healthy diet or an unhealthy diet. Some might say, so you might earn lots of money, or you might have a good you might have good financial security, but you might be spending 60, 70, £80 a week on takeaways. That's not always necessarily healthy. Okay, you have access to good housing. Your stress levels are lower. I have yet to see. Well, I am not as stressed at the moment as I sometimes get, but I don't know. I think sometimes I'm more money. Not that I'm rich. I will caveat with that, not that I am rich at all, so please don't think that I am, but you know, sometimes money is stressful, and I think for me personally, the vast majority of arguments that I have with my husband are over money, and I think a lot of married couples would probably say the same thing, especially when you first buy a house and especially when you then bring a baby into the fold, because even when you mortgage plan, and obviously when we bought our house we hadn't got Dylan, and then you add a baby into the mix, and suddenly, you know, you're spending £40 every sort of 3 or 4 days on nappies and baby milk. It all goes out the window. It gives you good access to adequate healthcare. Now, obviously, we are in a position where the NHS is free for us, but obviously, in terms of dental care, in terms of opticians, in terms of if you wanted to go private, obviously, the wealthier you are, the more access you've got to that sort of healthcare. Okay, and good personal hygiene as well. So what I want you to do is just explain what having a good income allows you to do. So what does having good financial security allow you to do? Okay, so pause me. Oh, in fact, don't pause me. Yes, pause me and then come back. having a bad day. So I'm going to assume that you've done that and you've unpaused me. So there is a table here where I've given you a range of activities. So balanced diet, housing, exercise, education and hygiene. What you need to do is fill the table in, so you can either cut and paste this out if you're on a laptop, or you can just rewrite it in your book. It's entirely up to you. So what do these things mean here? What do these mean? What is the short-term effect? So if you've got good financial security, what is the short-term effect on housing? So for example, that you can buy a house, and what effect does that have on you as an individual? Okay, and the long-term effect of having that. So if you've got a house, if you've got a secure home, what is the long-term effect of that? So remember, short-term is anything under 6 months, long-term is anything above that. And then for stretch, what would the effect on pies be of this activity not taking place? So if you didn't have good housing, what would the impact be on your physical, intellectual, emotional and social? And I don't know, I've said this before, I don't know how many of you are watching the daily briefings from Downing Street or keeping up with the news, but on Saturday, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, the housing minister, the governor for housing was on, and he was talking about the level of homelessness has fallen. I think actually they have, and don't quote me on this because I might be wrong, but I think the levels of homelessness at the moment are almost 0%, and they are pledging £340 million, I think it is, this year to build 66,000 homes that will be purely for people who are homeless, and to help them get back on the property ladder and to help them have a safe home, so that they're not out on the streets. Okay, so then what I want you to do is think about poverty. So how does poverty affect your health and well-being? And again, I want you to link it to pies. So for those of you that aren't sure what poverty is you don't have enough money, you can't live within your means. So it might be that you're being paid £1,000 a month, but your bills going out every month are £950. So you're left with £50 every month to survive on, and that might include buying your basics and your foods, and that obviously would put you in poverty. So what would not having a good level of financial security, how would that affect you? How would that affect your health? And then how would that affect your physical, intellectual, emotional and social? Okay. And then if you finish that, there is a stretch and challenge. So it is to write a short magazine article that includes 3 effects of having adequate financial resources. Now, obviously, you don't have to get onto that. You may do if you finish. It's not homework, so ignore that. But if we don't get onto that, we can do that when we come back. And then just to finish off, money is always important to health. So do you agree with this statement? You don't have to, but whatever your answer is, yes or no, then I want you to explain that answer. Okay? And that's it for today's lesson. What I am going to do, and I will explain this in the email, is I am going to send you a checklist. It will either be tomorrow or it will be next Tuesday, but there will be a checklist, or I will send it on Thursday morning, and you can then work on it over the weekend. But it will just be a very simple checklist of everything that we should have done so far, of all the lessons that I've uploaded to YouTube, all the stuff we did before that. And what I want you to do is just tick or write yes, or write a Y, or write N in that, and then send it back to me, because what I now need to do is try and gauge where you all are, because you are all at very different points, and try and figure out what the best way is coming back to school to give you all of the knowledge that you need and ensure that you are all finishing in the summer at the same place. So if you do nothing else between now and the 15th of June, then please make sure that is sent back, because I do really need to know. And if I don't, then what will happen is we'll come back and people will start going, well, I haven't done that, I don't get that, I don't understand it. And there will be other people who are going, but we did this weeks ago, I've done this, I don't want to go back over it. So it allows me to kind of plan a little bit better. So yes, so I'm going to end it here. Hopefully I will see some of you again on Monday, and I will see the rest of you in a little bit over a week. But yes, stay safe, and I will see you all soon.